you ready for this amazing and excellent technique? The fastest technique to improve your English speaking skills and... Hello everybody, how are you all? Hope you're doing great. So welcome back to another session of learning English and improving your English speaking skills with me. In today's session, I'm going to tell you about a powerful speaking technique. A powerful speaking technique that is the fastest technique to become fluent in English. Fastest technique to fluency. So this technique is going to help you a lot. It is going to change your speaking game. Are you all ready for this? I'm Shivangi Gupta, your CELTA certified English language tutor, certified by the University of Cambridge, the UK. And before beginning, please subscribe the channel so that you can get all the lessons that I upload on the channel for you, only for you. Please like the video and share it with the friends too. Now coming back to today's session, the technique that can help you become fluent in English, a very powerful technique, something for which you do not have to give so much time, but it's very focused. It's not a time-taking technique, it's a focused technique. You need to give your focus, your attention, and it's not so difficult if you know the correct rules. That's very important. What is the name of this technique? This is the jam technique. Yes, the jam technique. Just a minute. That is jam in short. Now this technique is not simply about speaking. It has some rules. If you are not following those rules properly, then this technique is of no use to you. The effect that this technique has increases a lot if you are following all the rules with attention and you're doing it properly. So rules matter a lot. This technique is that perfect technique because of the rules it has. Now, why these rules are important? Because they are going to force you to go into that particular zone where your mind is automatically curated to think in English, and then you will be able to speak in English. You're creating an environment for yourself and not a very pressurized environment. It's a good pressure, you know. If you've heard about the eustress, the good form of stress that motivates you to do things. So you are creating a particular kind of environment, a condition for your mind to speak in English. You will be motivated to speak in English and also speak correct English, speak fluent English. That is what we are going to do. So jam technique, just a minute. It's actually a professional technique. I'm sure you must have participated in this particular technique if you have participated in some speech competitions in your school time or college time. This is a technique that is used in a lot of competitions. And then professionally, it is also used in a lot of interviews too. Interviews and the entrances, you know, viva. So this is used a lot where competency of a particular person is judged. It's a very powerful technique. That's why it has some rules that you need to follow. And I'm going to discuss each and every rule so that you are able to take up all the benefits from this particular technique. So are you all ready? The jam technique, right? So let me tell you about this. The jam technique is a technique where you take up any topic. You have to pick up a topic and you have to speak on it for 1 minute. As the name suggests, just a minute. But is it simply speaking for 1 minute? No. A lot of things have to be taken care of. So let me talk about the rules now, so that you can understand what you're supposed to do in that 1 minute. Because how you take up that 1 minute, that particular minute is very important. What you do in that 1 minute is very important. Just not speaking is important, but how you're utilizing that 1 minute overall completely. That's very important. So let's begin with all the rules. And the rule number 1 is to speak for 1 minute completely. Now you have to speak for 1 minute continuously. Your speaking session should not end before 1 minute. So you have to speak completely for 1 minute because that is important. When you're speaking with somebody, A lot of times what happens is when we're speaking something, we're speaking in English. For example, there is this particular word that is known as threshold. How much you can speak in English. You're speaking. A particular person might speak for like 30 seconds and then they'll be tempted to throw in a word from their native language, or maybe some kind of filler, a filler word from their native language. So it's like a comfort zone that the brain wants to use that native language just a little bit so that you can get some kind of comfort, and then you'll continue speaking in English. That is what we have to break. That pattern we have to break. So we have to speak in English continuously for 1 minute. Not even a single word or even a filler from your native language should filter in that particular session of 1 minute. So it's important. You are creating a zone for yourself where your brain has to speak for 1 minute continuously. Your threshold might be of maybe 40 seconds, but then you're making efforts to extend it. And that is what is required for fluency, for getting comfortable with English language, right? So this is what you're supposed to do. Speak completely for 1 minute. Rule number two. Rule number two is do not take pauses longer than 2 seconds. Now, a lot of times, what people think is that we are speaking for 1 minute, they take up that 1 minute, and half of the time that just goes away in thinking about what we are supposed to speak. Or maybe you are running out of words and you take a pause, and that is 10 seconds long, 15 seconds long, without even realizing. So are you utilizing that 1 minute completely? If you're taking such a long pause, that means no, you're not utilizing it completely. You have to speak it in a manner where you can gain fluency. That means whenever you are engaged in real life conversations, you are not stuck for words. That kind of problems that you're facing, you can overcome that. So for that, you are not supposed to take pauses longer than 2 seconds. Now, when I say speak continuously, I don't say that do not take meaningful pauses. Meaningful pauses means pausing in between sentences, that mini pause that we take in between sentences to separate them. That is perfectly fine. Obviously, they are natural pauses. That increases fluency. So those kind of pauses are important. Just speaking so much fast English is not it's not the sign of fluency. Speaking continuously is not the sign of fluency. Obviously, you will take meaningful pauses, but whenever you're tempted to take a longer pause, remind yourself no more than 2 seconds. You're not allowed to take a pause longer than 2 seconds because you have to make yourself habitual of speaking English spontaneously. And even if you're zoning out in that particular zone where you are searching for words, where you're uncomfortable, you have to quickly snap out of it. And this technique helps you do that. So don't take a pause longer than 2 seconds. Rule number three. Rule number three is no repetition of sentences or ideas. I would also add one more little word, that is vocabulary. A lot of times we repeat sentences, the same ideas, or the words. That's vocabulary. For example, I've seen people use the same word again and again rather than using synonyms of that word. For example, continuously speaking beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. If you're describing a particular place, you can call it stunning, you can call it breathtaking. There are so many words to be used. So you have to explore your ideas that you have. Explore them. Do not stick to just one idea and repeat it again and again. If you're doing that, you're not utilizing that 1 minute. There is no variety in your speaking, right? The speaking range, the usage of English is contracted, like it's not expanding. We have to use more vocabulary. We have to, if we are learning vocabulary, obviously we have to use that vocabulary, right? That is the goal. And if we are not doing that, what is the purpose of this technique? So in that 1 minute, you're not supposed to repeat your sentences again and again. So the view was beautiful and we went there and the view was beautiful. It was quite beautiful. Do not repeat sentences like this. Unconsciously, we end up doing this in that 1 minute jam technique. It happens. But this is a rule that you have to stay conscious. I have to use variety of words. We stayed there, the view was breathtaking. We went outside and there was such a beautiful scenery in front of us, right? expand your vocabulary, use new sentences, find other ways to describe it. So that is what you're supposed to do. Do not repeat your sentences or your ideas. Rule number 4. Well, rule number 4 is no written material, no written text, nothing. You're not supposed to keep a written text of the topic that you are about to speak on. So you can't take written material with you when you're speaking. You're not allowed to do that. This is not a reading session. Not allowed to read aloud. No. You have to speak spontaneously. Now you can take your time to prepare. Right? I'm not saying that you cannot prepare. If writing helps you prepare well, make small notes about it, but you have to keep that aside while speaking. That's the rule. You can write for preparation. You're allowed to write as a part of preparation, but you are not allowed to look at it while speaking. No written material is allowed while speaking if you want this particular technique to benefit you in the maximum way possible. A lot of times we are apprehensive of the thing that, okay, we are supposed to speak for such a long time or 1 minute. What if we repeat words, this and that? And a lot of times people have that written work and constantly, instead of focusing on speaking, they're looking down at the material they are reading. For example, they'll open it, they're writing something, they read it, and like this is distracting you from speaking what you're supposed to speak. This is distracting you. And we don't want distractions and we don't want any crutches. Written material, keeping written material with you while speaking in this particular technique is like having those crutches or the support wheels of a particular bicycle. We don't want support wheels. No. This is a technique we are taking to become independent, right? Take it in that way. So that is what you're supposed to do, because in a normal conversation, you would not carry those written notes, would you? No, you wouldn't. And that is what we're supposed to do, to be able to speak English spontaneously, naturally, in a real life situation. And this technique helps us in preparing ourselves to speak in that particular situation. The jam technique. Yes. So no written work is allowed, no written material. You cannot hold a paper and read from it or keep it just for sake of keeping it. Like, I would not look at it, but let me keep it with me so that it would give me confidence. No, nothing like that. Your hands should be free. Your mind should be free to speak whatever you want. Preparation is allowed. Once again, I would say, take your time to prepare for the topic. That is allowed. Definitely that's allowed. If you want to write in order to prepare, that is allowed. But no written work, no written material while speaking. Rule number 5. Now this is very important. Rule number 5 is to keep a timer. Yes, keeping a timer. How would you know that you've spoken for 1 minute? See, if you're extending, you're speaking more than 1 minute, that's completely fine, because we are doing this so that we can increase our speaking capacity and fluency both, right? So that is totally fine. But something that we are scared of, like speaking less than 1 minute, that should not happen. And how would you know about that? Through a timer. It's very important for you to keep a timer with you and set a time. An important requirement of this particular technique, that you keep a timer with you. Now, do not take the pressure of this timer. Do not constantly look at the timer. Set the timer and set yourself free to speak on the topic. But setting that timer is important, because if you're taking a pause, if you're thinking that I'm running out of words, you can add more sentences to whatever you're speaking, so that you can utilize that 1 minute completely. It's important for you to keep that timer with you. So keep a timer. Timer is important. Set the timer for 1 minute. You can easily do it on any app on your smartphone and speak for 1 minute completely. Utilize that 1 minute thoroughly. So keep a timer and keep track of your speaking. How much time have you spoken? That is very important. Now here is a bonus tip. Now this is not a rule, but a bonus tip, something that you can do while taking up the jam technique. So this bonus tip is, you can record your voice. Recording. Now this helps a lot because you can listen to yourself later on. This is optional for you. in the beginning stages, for example, you're doing it for the first time, second time, third time, it can be a little nerve-wracking to record your voice. You might be apprehensive of what if I make mistakes, what if I'm not speaking properly. I do understand. In those particular times, at that particular stage, it's okay, you can skip recording, but once you've gained a little bit confidence, you can start recording your voice too. So recording your voice is optional. You can record it if you want and listen to it. Additionally, if you're doing it, if you are at an advanced level of jam technique, I suggest you should do it. In the beginning stages, you can skip, but as you're progressing with this particular technique, I think you should add this particular step of recording your voice too. This will help you gain perspective on what you are speaking and how you are speaking. Both the things are important. What you are speaking, that is the content. Are you speaking appropriately? Are you using appropriate words? Are you repeating those words? Are you repeating the sentences? Are you taking longer pauses than necessary? You will be able to gain a perspective on that. You will be able to evaluate yourself, which is very important. So that when again, the next time you're taking up jam technique, you will be able to follow the rules properly. You will be able to follow these rules properly because now you have a perspective. You have evaluated. Okay, this is lacking, that is lacking, this is what I'm supposed to pay more attention to. So you know a lot of things. So yes, that's a bonus tip that as an option, you can record your voice too. So this is the jam technique. Jam technique. The fastest technique to improve your English speaking skills and to improve your fluency, become fluent in English speaking. The power of this technique lies in its rules. Rules are very important and I have discussed each and every rule for you. So whenever you're taking up this technique, be mindful of the rules, follow them properly, and you're gonna see a huge difference, a huge improvement in your speaking skills. So do this, follow the technique and see the improvement. Are you ready for this amazing and excellent technique? Comment in the comment box below and let me know about it. So that's it for today. I'm gonna meet you again in a new lesson. Till then, everybody, take care and bye.